Well, it is now past 2 weeks since the attempted assassination of former President Trump. And we are starting to learn even more details, this time from local SWAT officers and the FBI. The FBI is now confirming that President Trump had agreed or has agreed to a sit-down for a victim interview. That's where they get your impact statement as the victim, what you noticed, some of the things he talked about at the RNC giving his pre-nomination speech, which if they watched that, there were some details in that we had never learned before. Now they'll get more. CB Cotton is live in Butler, Pennsylvania. I tell you, CB, this has been quite the day in learning so much from those SWAT team members that we did not know about, particularly the timeline.
Hi, Harris. That's right. We are learning more day by day. And the FBI now telling us that the would-be assassin Thomas Matthew Crooks was highly intelligent, but also a loner. And we've got a new chilling detail from federal investigators who say the explosives found in Crooks' car could have exploded, but the receivers were in the off position. The FBI says from the spring of 2023 through the first half of this year, Crooks made 25 online gun purchases and 6 online chemical precursor purchases, all using aliases and encrypted accounts in an effort to go unnoticed. The FBI says more than 2,100 tips have been investigated and more than 450 people have been interviewed, to include Crooks' parents, who are cooperative and say they never suspected anything. The parents have said their son enjoyed science and experiments, so the chemicals at their home did not raise a red flag. The FBI says Crooks did online searches of both former President Trump and President Biden, and there were searches for mass shooting events, IEDs, and the attempted assassination of the Slovakian Prime Minister earlier this year. The latest details on Crooks come as text messages between local counter snipers reveal Crooks was spotted 90 minutes before the gunfire, which is earlier than previously reported. And for the first time ever, those local counter snipers reveal what they saw that afternoon.
He was looking up and down the building and just wandering around. It just seemed out of place. I assumed that there would be somebody coming out to, speak with this individual or, find out what's going on.
The FBI says Crooks used an HVAC unit to get on top of the roof and carried a backpack with the firearm and its collapsible stock. The FBI says it's still trying to determine how Crooks concealed that weapon until just moments before the gunfire. Harris.
CB Cotton, great reporting today. Thank you very much. So we got a lot of detail there, Morgan, but what we need now is the context. And, President Trump's victim interview will be important to kind of give all of that transparency about the emotions of the moment and all of that. This shooter would have seen what was playing out on stage, now we know, for quite some time.
Well, and it's important to get this right, not only for former President Trump and now his running mate J.D. Vance, but also for President Biden and Kamala Harris and everyone
100%.
involved. One of the things, I think ultimately what this comes down to is really bad leadership. And unfortunately, we have seen that not just at the head of the Secret Service, but throughout the institutions of our government under the Biden-Harris administration. I think this goes all the way back, and you say, how does this tie in together? For me, it goes all the way back to August of 2021 with the fall of Kabul to the Taliban. Nobody in the national security, entire leadership, no one was held accountable. Nobody resigned. No even public reprimands. And when you look at failure after failure after failure in this administration, no one is publicly held accountable. And so you have people and leaders who are not doing their job ultimately. We finally saw the Secret Service director resign, and I think that's because even the Democrats started going after her. But ultimately, the buck stops with the president and the vice president of the United States and the leaders that they put in charge of these institutions. It's up to them to protect the American people and to protect our former president.
Afghanistan was such a great example of the falling down of leadership and no eyes on it from the White House the way it needed to be. I'll give you another one. The Secretary of Defense goes missing.
Right.
Fewer than 90 days out from October 7th, when Israel was attacked by Hamas terrorists. And more than, 200-300 days that the Ukraine war had been going on. We had serious things going on in the world, and the White House didn't know that the SecDef Lloyd Austin was out. He didn't bother to let anybody know. I mean, what a mess. What an unmitigated, dangerous mess.
And reportedly, Secretary Austin found out about Biden not running for re-election from the media. So there's been a lot of problems with communication.
But no accountability for not knowing where your SecDef is.
And that's the singular problem with Washington, right, is that there's never any accountability for anything, whether it's this incident or, $32 trillion in debt or any of the other problems with our federal government. There's no accountability. I thought it was interesting, and CB Cotton, as you pointed out, has been doing some great reporting there. I thought it was interesting that the authorities believe that the shooter was a highly intelligent individual. You don't have to be, and that may be true, but you don't have to be highly intelligent to do what he did. You just have to be, a stupid person who goes through the gaping loopholes that were left open to him, and he just kind of walked through. I think it's interesting that it's kind of shocking, actually, that the FBI still hasn't interviewed Donald Trump, the victim in this case. That, to me, blows my mind. If the FBI is doing an investigation into, talk about a lack of accountability, the first thing you do is you interview all of the subjects that were involved. And we're over 2 weeks in, and they still haven't sat down and talked to him. And now I get it. It's all on TV. Everybody knows what happened. But that's a very important thing. And then you have a guy like Christopher Wray, what does he do when he goes before Congress? He just starts spreading weird conspiracy theories. There is no leadership. There's no accountability. And it's a real problem.
Well, your point about interviewing President Trump is so critical, too. It will be off the record, Kayleigh. So it's not like there would be any reason why they couldn't, at this point, sit down with him. I know he's running for president, but he makes time in his schedule for certainly something that he talks about on the stump now.
Yeah, well, even with all of this new information coming out, there are still many, many unanswered questions that the American public deserves to know. And I think that's what makes it so striking that so much of the leftist media has moved on from the assassination attempt entirely. Just a few days after the iconic image of Trump emerged, you had an Axios editor essentially instructing his reporters not to circulate that photo because they were worried that it would help the Trump campaign promote its agenda. And I think the reason why everyone has moved on so quickly is because they realized that that was a watershed moment for many American voters,
100%.
Including myself. I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. I pretty reluctantly voted for him in 2020. I would have preferred a different candidate this time around. But I watched that happen and suddenly was rethinking everything that I had once thought of the former president. And that is what the leftist media does not want. So they're moving on. They don't want to talk about the new information earlier either. And so I guess we'll see what happens.
Look,
but
Mark
the public deserves
Zuckerberg,
answers.
I have never known how he might vote. But when he came out and said, oh, my gosh, basically, in paraphrase, that was everybody right there. That was all of us saying, look at that person represent the country.
Yeah, so I mentioned 2 weeks ago, there was a failure, no doubt. We need to know what was in the messages sent from local law enforcement to Secret Service. Well, we now have that answer. That answer is this, that it was sent from one local law enforcement counter sniper to another, that someone with a rangefinder is in the area. And if you want to notify Secret Service to look out, I lost sight of him. I went to CB Cotton before the show and I said, do we know if that message from local law enforcement was ever given to Secret Service? She pointed me towards Washington Post reporting that said this message was communicated into a command center, that security center that we've described, and that it was communicated verbally to Secret Service and that some Secret Service was notified. But the Secret Service, according to the Washington Post, around President Trump was not notified. Why not? That is the biggest question to answer tomorrow. Why did the Secret Service around Donald Trump not know this information?
Well, look, CB Cotton did point to the fact that the Secret Service radio receivers were in the off position. So that might have had something to do with it. I don't know if that was all radios, but that was in her report. There was a lot there.
A lot.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.